Now at 9, efforts to rescue dogs that were dumped in Chinook, Kansas. Plus,
the Federal Reserve has announced they are raising interest rates again, and the chairman says it will be a while before they start to come down. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. I'll have more details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dow Quick. 8 poodle mix dogs are found wandering around the town of Chinook, Kansas, but it's not clear how they got there. Citizens of Chinook captured the dogs this week. A local groomer volunteered her time after hours to help groom the dogs with very matted coats. Wagon Tail's groomer said the dogs were not malnourished and recently had their dew claws clipped.
Everyone's kind of thinking, did they get out from their family? Like, were they just running loose? And the condition that these dogs are in, it's taken months, like months, for them to get as bad as they are.
All 8 dogs are safe with local families just in time for Christmas. A Labette County, Kansas judge sentences a Parsons, Kansas man to prison on 2 child sex offenses. 38-year-old Jared Bybee gets life in prison without parole after pleading no contest to 2 counts of aggravated criminal sodomy. The crimes occurred between 2013 and 2016 and involved 2 victims under the age of 10. A Tulsa man faces 4 felony charges in Ottawa County for sex crimes involving children. Authorities arrested 30-year-old Michael Lamb Jr. today and charged him for child solicitation and buying and possessing child pornography, among other crimes. He will remain at the Tulsa County Jail until he's extradited to Ottawa County. Some changes in the weather. Let's check in with Doug.
Yeah, we are definitely trending colder outside, not near as warm today compared to what we did see during the daytime hours yesterday. Normal highs 48, we hit 45. We started at 31 degrees during the morning hours, but look at this. We were in the 60s yesterday, and then that cold front dropped through, so we could only make it up into lower 40s for afternoon highs. And it's getting cold right now. We're at 35 in Fort Scott, 35 in Welch, Anderson, much of the same in Lamar, and most of us will drop back upper 20s later on tonight. We do have some clouds kind of sifting through. It's not a big deal. Any rain as well off toward the east, and that's where it's going to stay, as we are actually going to be dry for the next several days, but it gets interesting next week. Through the night, we drop back upper 20s, plenty of sunshine to start the day, and we'll talk about that interesting scenario here in just a bit.
When you start using the word interesting as it relates to weather, some of us take note. Thanks, Doug. We're in the season of giving. KOAM's Jalen Banks explains how one Kansas elementary school gave to a local animal shelter.
Every year, Bartlett Elementary does a gift exchange. And instead of giving gifts to each other this year, they decided to give to a charity. And this time around, they decided to donate to Pal's Animal Shelter in Parsons, Kansas.
My class, I think the spirit of Christmas was with them because their excitement for giving was just amazing. And they came in, they're a sweet group of kids. They brought things in and they were so happy to just give.
Harity says the deciding factor on the shelter was a class vote.
We had a secret ballot and they voted, and this is the one that won by a landslide. And so I really think a lot of connections my kids have either had relatives adopt from here, I've adopted from here, or they've adopted from here, and I think they just had that recognition with the shelter.
Angela Gutton, the shelter manager, shares the importance of the donations.
Intake is crazy this year. It is the worst I've ever seen, and I've been here almost 12 years now, and it's very much needed. We strictly are donations, run off of donations pretty much for our food, for everything. We're not funded by anything, so we get a few grants, but yeah, every little bit helps a lot.
Round it up, what do you tell them?
Thank you guys.
In Parsons, Kansas, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
Gadden emphasizes that when adopting a pet, it is a lifelong commitment. A Kansas company hosted an award ceremony celebrating fundraising efforts for a national organization. The Pumpin' Pete's Corporation hosted the ceremony in Parsons, Kansas. The awards were given to donors in a fundraising campaign for the CASA program. CASA, or Court Appointed Special Advocates, supports abused or neglected children in court. Awards were given in such categories as most funds raised and best donation to sale ratio.
The cost of the 31st is 67% self-funded, which means that we raise 67% of our own funding. We get some from the county court and from grants and stuff that we write with the state.
The money raised during that campaign will support CASA programs in Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. The Federal Reserve has announced its 7th rate hike this year. It's also the final one of 2022. But as Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard explains, there will likely be even more next year to combat inflation.
The full effects of our rapid tightening so far are yet to be felt. Even so, we have more work to do.
The Federal Reserve announced another interest rate hike of 0.5%. Rates now at their highest in 15 years. It's smaller than the last 4 rate hikes, but still pushes interest rates higher and pushes many potential borrowers out of the market.
We will stay the course until the job is done.
Chairman Jerome Powell will likely keep rates at their peak for much of next year. That could be painful for anyone who takes out a loan or buys on credit.
We'll need to stay there, until we're really confident that inflation's coming down in a sustained way, and we think that that will be some time.
There are hopes that with inflation dipping, now at 7.1% compared to last year, the Fed will ease off the 0.5% or more hikes. But market watchers say people are still spending. They're just buying with their credit cards.
The consumer is loading up on credit card debt, especially in the holiday season when you see a lot of demand. The goal of raising interest rates is to choke off demand, but we can't seem to totally choke off demand.
Some economists believe at the next Fed meeting in February, they will raise rates again. However, they are hoping it will only be by a 0.25 percentage point. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero. John Bolander served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 1969 to 73. Parsons, Kansas native was stationed in South Carolina, and we salute Sergeant John Bolander, a 4-state hero. Coming up, crypto fallout.
The FTX scandal has rocked the country, and now Congress is dealing with the fallout. I'm Mallory Rivera with more on how some big names are reacting, coming up.
If you got an email that said your student loan was forgiven, sorry, but that's an error. The Department of Education mistakenly sent out about 9 million of those last month. Thus far, no one has received debt forgiveness. The Department of Education says its vendors sent the email with the inaccurate subject line, but the body confirming the department received an application was correct. Shark Tank's Mr. Wonderful was one of the investors caught in the FTX mess, and he testified about the crypto collapse on Capitol Hill today. Lawmakers are lamenting the fact that they didn't get to question FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried, now jailed in the Bahamas and facing a litany of federal charges. Fox's Madeline Rivera reports.
Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs will come to order.
Congress is looking for answers. How did the third largest crypto exchange implode? And with it, billions of dollars gone. It's the second hearing this week scrutinizing FTX and its disgraced founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, who allegedly used customer funds for his own personal use.
Any violations of the law should be aggressively prosecuted.
With Madoff and with Sam Bankman-Fried, investors didn't ask questions for fear of missing out.
There is bipartisan frustration on the Hill and a new push to regulate the industry known for its celebrity endorsements. Senate lawmakers heard from one of those celebrities, crypto investor Kevin O'Leary. Even as a paid FTX spokesman, O'Leary did not defend the company.
I simply called Sam Bankman-Fried and said, "Where is the money, Sam?"
Instead, he emphasized the promise of the industry, saying FTX's collapse actually had a silver lining.
Going or gone are the inexperienced or incompetent managers, weak business models, and rogue, unregulated operators.
On the other side of the debate, the Senate Banking Committee heard from a crypto skeptic and actor known for his role on the OC.
In my opinion, the cryptocurrency industry represents the largest Ponzi scheme in history.
Not there to testify, Sam Bankman-Fried. He was arrested Monday right before he was set to testify before Congress. Now he's facing a range of charges from fraud to money laundering.
Bankman-Fried could face 115 years in prison if convicted. In New York, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
Doug is up next with a complete look at the forecast, and a little bit later in sports, Patrick Mahomes prepares to play in Texas for the first time in his professional career.
Well, we got some sunshine outside today, which was nice, but it was quite a bit colder compared to what we saw yesterday when we were in the 60s, only into low to mid 40s for highs today. Nice shot. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort Indigo just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, let's zoom in. Look at our temps earlier today. Highs mainly only into lower 40s across the region. Over the past several hours, we've dropped back. It's kind of cold, 35 in Pineville, Stockton 34, Afton 35. We have Chanute sitting at 34 degrees. And look at this cooler air. So we have a storm system spinning. You can see it right across northern parts of Iowa. So on the back side, it pulls in that colder air. So that's what we're going to see as we go through the next several days. 7th range line, we are dry. It's cold, 37. We do have some clouds working through, westerly winds at 10, so that gives us a wind chill factor. The way it feels about 30, humidity is at 62%. So let's go through the night. We're going to see the clouds break up late tonight. We drop upper 20s back to 33 by 10 a.m. and we should have a decent amount of sunshine as we go through the morning hours. All right, look at these clouds scooting on through, nothing underneath them, so we are staying dry. Any rain is back to our east, the same storm system that passed through yesterday. But look at this. Look at the moisture lifting up in the northern parts of Minnesota. So this is going to become a monster blizzard as we go through the next 24 hours. And then if you drop south, it's been severe weather. It's been severe weather the past 3 days, slowly marching east from Texas, now into Alabama. But we, back here at home, we're going to stay dry as we go through about the next 4 to 5 days, and then we'll start to see some changes. All right, upper 20s tonight, so a cold start. We do have some clouds working through during the morning hours, mid-30s by noon. A little bit colder tomorrow. I think most of us upper 30s, 37 in Lamar, Cassville 38, about 41 at Grand Lake, Parsons, high temp about 39 degrees. As we go into tomorrow night, a little bit colder again. We drop back into the mid-20s, and then as we work into Friday, partly sunny skies, a little bit cooler, high temps into the mid-30s. So we're kind of stepping down a bit as we go through each day. All right, 28 in the morning, 36 by noon, high of 39. We drop back to 36 by 5 p.m. Then it starts to get a little bit interesting. Most of the weekend looks pretty good. Saturday, partly sunny, mid-30s, so still cold. We pop back into the 40s by the time we head into Sunday. Clouds increase Monday. It looks like a rain-snow mix, switching over to all snow late Monday into Monday night. Could get some light accumulations from this, but it's several days away, so we want to keep our eyes on it and see how it kind of pushes out into the Central Plains. All right, so let's go. 39 tomorrow, 37 on Friday, 37 on Saturday, 44 on Sunday, and then that rain-snow mix on Monday and Tuesday. In the second half hour, it gets even more interesting as we push toward Christmas. So we're going to break that down for you.
You don't think it's interesting enough already?
No, I need weather action.
I guess. Thanks, Doug. We'll see you soon. Some health officials are weighing a possible return to masks as COVID, flu, and RSV cases all spike. The debate comes as the CDC releases a new report about the impact of long-term COVID symptoms. Fox News correspondent Garrett Tenney has more.
The triple threat of COVID-19, the flu, and RSV is prompting a return to masking for parts of the U.S.
The respiratory season represents common sense season.
Health departments in New York, Los Angeles, and Seattle are recommending folks wear face coverings indoors and in crowds. While mandates have not yet returned, health officials say they are concerned.
If you remember from the previous respiratory seasons, we basically had a non-existent respiratory season with the exception of COVID. And so masking works.
The flu has been a major contributor to the surge in respiratory viruses. The CDC estimates at least 13 million Americans have already been infected this season, but uptake for flu vaccines has been low, with only about a quarter of adults getting their shots this year.
There's still opportunity to get vaccinated for the flu, and then being up to date with your COVID booster, particularly for high-risk individuals.
As for COVID, the CDC reports cases are lower than last winter, but still ticking up across the country. A new report from the agency highlights the long-term effects of the virus. Over the last 2.5 years, long COVID symptoms contributed to more than 3,500 deaths. Those account for less than 1% of total COVID fatalities, but federal health officials believe that number is an undercount. The CDC says symptoms such as headaches and brain fog can last for months after people test negative for the virus. In Chicago, I'm Garrett Tenney, Fox News.
Coming up, we're going to check out the aftermath of some severe weather across parts of the country, including heavy snow and tornadoes. It's the second day of severe weather across much of the U.S., with blizzard-like conditions moving across the north and deadly tornadoes popping up in the south. Fox's Anna Eliopoulos reports on where the storm is moving next.
Heavy snowfall blanketing portions of the northern plains, with some areas like the Rockies seeing more than a foot of snow and winds between 40 and 60 miles per hour. The blizzard conditions making travel extremely difficult, with officials issuing travel advisories in many areas.
I know some guys that'll go out in this, like that flatbedder behind us, but I'm not one of those drivers. I've had too many close calls in conditions like this.
The storm is making its way east and is expected to bring a mix of snow and rain across the Northeast by Thursday, lasting through the weekend.
Our side door swung open, and then the next thing I know, he's yelling at us to take cover.
Meanwhile, the severe weather is spawning tornadoes across the South, with more than a dozen spotted across 4 states so far. The tornadoes carving paths of destruction in Texas, Oklahoma, and parts of Louisiana.
We've looked at 50 to 60 properties. A handful of them are completely destroyed. 20 to 25 of those properties probably have enough significant damages that individuals are not going to be returning home anytime soon.
The community of Caddo Parish in Louisiana left devastated after a mother and her 8-year-old son were killed Tuesday when an EF2 tornado ripped through their home. The storm continuing its path of destruction, moving now through Mississippi and parts of Louisiana, bringing more tornadoes, high winds, and flash flooding. Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
Up next, we're going to learn what the top cities in the world are for tourist destinations. For the second time in as many years, Paris is the winner of the top 100 city destinations index. That's according to UK-based market research company Euromonitor. The report calls France's capital city, quote, the world's best performing destination because of its attractiveness to tourism and its tourism infrastructure. Dubai came in the runner-up slot, followed by Amsterdam, Madrid, and Rome, respectively. New York City was the only U.S. location in the top 10. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. How a local nonprofit is making sure students are able to stay warm this winter. Plus,
a powerful American air defense system could soon be on the way to Ukraine. In London, I'm Alex Hogan. I'll have more on this story coming up.
A grassroots nonprofit organization is making sure Joplin students stay warm this winter. KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke to the coordinator and president of Bright Futures in Joplin about how they're helping kids reach their full potential.
Bright Futures in Joplin is a volunteer organization created 10 years ago to help students with their needs.
School teachers were taking their own money, helping children buy shoes, paper, pencils, things like that. So Bright Futures saw a need to do two things. One, help the students. Two, help the teachers do what teachers need to be doing.
Last month, the organization donated 82 coats to Joplin students.
We provide Joplin students with anything that might be a barrier to their success at school. So that means last month that meant 82 coats. It also meant hundreds of pairs of pants and shoes and hygiene products.
They cannot complete their mission alone. Bright Futures has an Amazon wish list for anyone wanting to help the students.
So that it makes it really easy for people to just click and ship it directly to us. It has the items we need most currently, which right now is coats, new coats, a few select school supplies that were always in demand, like headphones, over-ear headphones, these pencil pouches, new tennis shoes.
With the community helping, the group can help even more kids.
Our numbers are much higher than they were last year at this time. For example, we might have had 50 need requests in November last year, but this year we had over double that. And our snack pack numbers for our weekend food bag program, those numbers are over 25% higher than they were last year.
Bright Futures prides itself in creating a bright future for Joplin students.
We feel like we have made a difference. We get letters from the kids all the time thanking us for what we do and what we've done, and whenever you get that type of response, then you know you're making an impact one way or the other.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
If you want to help a Joplin student through Bright Futures, go to brightfuturesjoplin.org. You see it there for more information. Humans are not the only ones who need a flu shot this winter. Canine flu is hitting shelters and homes all across the U.S. Symptoms, like in humans, include coughing, sneezing, eye and nose discharge, fever, lethargy, and trouble breathing. The American Veterinary Medical Association recommends getting your dog vaccinated for canine influenza to help prevent infection. This year is expected to be the third busiest year for holiday travel since 2000. AAA estimates nearly 113 million people will travel 50 miles or more away from home between December 23rd and January 2nd. The number marks an increase of 3.6 million people over last year, closing in on pre-pandemic numbers. The U.S. is poised to send Patriot missiles to Ukraine as Russia steps up its air attacks. Fox News correspondent Alex Hogan has more.
Ukraine's air defense system working hard on Wednesday to stop a Russian air attack on the capital. Officials say that 13 Iranian-made drones were launched. All were shot down, but the debris hit at least 5 buildings. Fox News was on the scene as officials assess the damage. You can see fragments of the intercepted drones here. The attack underscores the vulnerability of Ukraine's cities, but more help could be arriving soon. The Pentagon now poised to approve the deployment of Patriot missile defense systems for the first time since the start of the war.
Air defense continues to be a priority topic of discussion when it comes to security assistance. And so we'll continue to look at ways that we can best support Ukraine.
The Patriot is a powerful anti-missile system with a wide range. It could be a game changer as Russia escalates its air attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, though the Ukrainians say that they're getting better and faster at rebuilding.
After each Russian attack, we restore the system as much as possible, which can compensate for the damage caused by rocket hits.
At a conference on Tuesday, Ukraine's allies pledged more than $1 billion to help the country get through the winter, and we're expecting another American aid package in the coming months.
Continuing support for Ukraine is the popular mainstream view that stretches across the ideological spectrum.
Pentagon officials say that the Patriot missile deployment is expected to be announced by the end of the week. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
A bit later, keeping up with the times.
Americans' budgets are struggling to keep up with inflation. I'm Jackie Ibanez. We'll take a look at ways to better manage your finances in the coming year. That's all straight ahead.
Well, it was a nice Wednesday. It was kind of a cold Wednesday, but at least we got some sunshine outside today. So partly sunny skies, and we have partly cloudy skies for us right now. Here's a nice shot of Indigo Sky Casino and Resort just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, look at our temperatures earlier today. We did go into lower 40s. We've dropped off a bit now. Most of us are sitting into the mid 30s. We're going to drop into the upper 20s later on tonight. And this is all due to the same storm system that rolled through here yesterday, but the big upper level low is spinning across parts of Minnesota. So it takes that cold Canadian air and you follow the arrows, that cold air comes in. In fact, we're going to get a little bit colder as we go through the next couple days. 37 westerly winds at about 10, humidity is 62 at the airport in Joplin. We drop back upper 20s later on tonight, a low of 28, but should have a decent amount of sunshine to start the day, even though we have these clouds kind of pushing through right now. Any rain that is out there now east of St. Louis all the way over towards Cincinnati into the southeastern parts of the country. And then look at this. This is really going to crank up later on tonight. So a couple feet of snow once you get up toward Duluth. And then, of course, we've had severe weather parts of Mississippi and Alabama once again as we went through the evening hours for us tonight. All right, let's step through the next 48 hours. Upper 20s by morning, a few clouds during the morning hours, mid 30s by noon, and we'll make it up 39, 40 degrees during the afternoon. So a little bit cooler tomorrow compared to what we saw today. Tomorrow night, a few clouds shoot through, a little bit colder, down into the mid 20s. Once we get into Friday, a little bit colder again, partly sunny. High temps mainly into the mid 30s. Here's your day planner for Thursday. 28 to start, 36 by noon, high of 39, but we'll back down to 36 once we get into the afternoon hours. All right, let's go into the weekend, then we're also going to go into next week. All right, Saturday looks good, just cold, mid 30s. Sunday, we actually pop back up into lower 40s for highs. Here comes our next system. This is on Monday. This is a weak system, but it does have enough energy to produce some rain, and with temperatures mainly into the 30s, we could mix with or change over to a little bit of snow as we go into Monday evening, Monday night into Tuesday morning. Right now, if this does occur, it looks like accumulations will be light, but something we want to watch. Then once we get into Wednesday, late Wednesday and Thursday morning, here comes an Arctic front, our first one of the season. This should produce some light snow Thursday into Friday. Notice the temps, we're into the single digits. So if we don't get a white Christmas, it's definitely going to be cold. 39 on Thursday, 37 on Friday, 37 Saturday. Watching that system Monday and Tuesday, and then look at this, 33 for a high Thursday down to 8, 14 Friday, Christmas Eve, high of only 15. A lot to watch once we get into next week.
People are going to have to start up the fire in the fireplace.
Yeah.
Santa, he can deal with that. But,
I've got plenty of wood stacked outside.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, Doug. There's just a week and a half remaining until Christmas, white or otherwise. And if you want those gifts to get where they're going, you're running out of time to order online. Reporter Chris Van Cleve has more.
That is the sound of the holidays. Plane after plane touching down at the FedEx Mega Hub in Memphis, each carrying around 20,000 packages.
There's not a lot of slow that happens here, not a lot of lingering.
We're on the tarmac with Senior Operations Manager Walter Kirkemind.
We understand that some of these gifts are highly personal, and really the brand is on the line.
Over the course of the day, about 2.4 million packages pass through here. A gift-size amazing race against the clock. They're sorted via 44 miles of conveyor belts before being loaded onto another set of planes bound for their final destinations, all in about 3 hours.
For the excess capacity that Santa doesn't have on the sleigh, we're helping drop it off with our purple-tailed airplanes.
Your relocate to gate 124 is approved. Advise when you're in the gate.
Overnight, the Memphis airport turns into one of the busiest airfields in the world.
Yes.
About 250 flights come and go every 24 hours.
Right now, it looks like we have about 10 in range.
From this FedEx airport tower, Maria Bonds has to find a place to park all those planes.
We make sure that these aircraft go where they need to go in a timely manner. And we are the Santa with the purple tail.
If you're Santa with a purple tail, what does that make you?
An elf.
An elf?
An elf.
This command center is a bit like NORAD for packages, tracking all the FedEx flights.
We're looking at the weather every 10 minutes to figure out if it's something we need to deviate our planes.
538, that's me, that's you. But there's no deviating drivers like Jacob Tucker. Before sunrise, packages are loaded into delivery vans, headed for you.
Just like Santa's little helper, I feel like I'm able to give to the customer before the holiday season.
Today is the first of the major shipping deadlines. This is the last day to send something by FedEx Ground and guaranteed have it there by Christmas. On Saturday, that is your first class mail cutoff, and Monday is the priority mail deadline. After that, you're talking about pricey overnight options to get things places by Christmas.
Coming up in sports, the Carl Junction girls hit the floor for the Mustang Classic Championship at McDonald County High School. Plus, the Missouri Southern men head into the holiday break on a 3-game winning streak. Jacob Leonard has post-game reaction from last night's win over Central Missouri. Next.
The Carl Junction girls have had some pretty good luck in tournament action early in the season. The Bulldogs won the CJ Classic to begin the year, then finished second at the Tournament of Champions in Fort Smith, Arkansas last weekend. And tonight, CJ's in another tournament championship game. Bulldogs facing Bentonville West in the Mustang Classic title game at McDonald County High School. That one just went final a few minutes ago. Bulldogs take the tournament championship 69-40. Kylie Scott leads the way for Carl Junction with 19 points. The Missouri Southern women suffered their first loss of the season last night. Third-ranked Lions fell to Central Missouri in a top 20 battle, 73-71 on Tuesday. The Lions got a game-high 31 points from sophomore guard Lacey Stokes to go along with 6 rebounds and 6 assists. Amaya Johns was also in double figures with 15 points and 6 boards. Now, despite the loss, Missouri Southern still heads into the holiday break in good shape. They're 11-1 overall and 4-1 in the MIAA.
Through the first 12 games, being 11-1, of course, being ranked third in the country, that's a pretty solid effort. And proud of what our kids have accomplished so far. But it's going to leave a bad taste in our mouth. The only bad part is we got to wait about 14 days before we can play again. We'll go home for Christmas. They'll be with their family. They'll have a good time with that. They'll come back refreshed and be ready to go. I know these kids will. This will kind of force them, or it'll make them work even harder because they know they had an opportunity here and they kind of let it slip through.
On the men's side, the Lions came away with an 82-74 win over Central Missouri last night. Had 4 players score 15 or more points, led by that guy, Avery Taggart, and his 18 points, 11 boards. And Southern has now won 3 straight heading into the break. Here's the head coach, Sam McMahon, on what's clicking for the Lions.
I think defensively we've really stepped up and we're just tougher around the rim, tougher on ball defense, taking pride in stopping our man, and then having trust too. If we get beat, then our teammate is going to be there to help us. So we're just getting more a better bond defensively and offensively, and you can see it in the wins.
I'm just proud of these guys. I mean, with Parker's injury, everyone's stepping up. Nongo's playing great. Winston's playing great. Benson's playing great. So Bundy, especially too, he's winning us games on the glass. So I'm just proud of everybody and ready to go on break and come back and get after it.
The Kansas City Chiefs hit the road to face the Houston Texans on Sunday. With the win, the Chiefs would earn their 7th straight AFC West title. Sunday's game will be the first time Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes will play in his home state of Texas as a pro. And Mahomes currently leads the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Last time out, though, he threw 3 picks against the Broncos. So he's going to try to clean that up this week, but also keep making the plays he normally makes.
Nobody likes to make those, but at the same time, you don't want to curb his aggressiveness and desire to make a play. So, because he made a couple good ones too in there. That's not going to happen very often with him. It happens with every quarterback, but they got to keep firing. I mean, that's you start getting hesitant, and then everything falls apart on you.
And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
With the new year fast approaching, so are resolutions. And for many Americans, managing their finances better is a top priority. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez has more.
A new year tends to bring a feeling of optimism. But with the prices for just about everything rising due to inflation, Americans' wallets are feeling the pain at every turn.
Money is an emotional trigger for so many of us.
According to a recent survey by Go Banking Rates, a third of Americans say inflation is a significant source of stress going into the new year.
In 2023, we're not entirely sure what our financial picture is going to look like as a nation and our individual bottom lines.
With rent and grocery prices continuing to soar and already high interest rates expected to rise again, consumers are now turning to an increasingly popular payment option. Buy now, pay later. It works by letting you make a purchase and paying for it later in a series of installments. But financial advisors warn this could quickly lead to more debt.
The research suggests that when we pay now, take the pain up front, and then we enjoy later, we can actually consume happiness a lot better.
To better manage your finances, financial experts recommend finding out what matters the most. Also, consider putting together an emergency fund.
If you don't have the finances right now to create an emergency fund of any sort, then paying down debt and trying to get as close to baseline as we can. This can make it so that those potential future events are a whole lot less financially shocking to us.
You can also try to cut back spending where possible. Money experts say taking a look at subscription costs is a good place to start. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Coming up, we're going to catch up with legendary director Guillermo del Toro to talk about his latest film, a stop-motion animation adaptation of Pinocchio. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is now streaming on Netflix. It's told through a medium the visionary filmmaker has had a long-time passion for. He talked about the first stop-motion animated films he made as a kid, as well as his hopes for the future of animation as an art form. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio brings a retelling of the tale through stop-motion animation.
Can you tell me about the first or some of the first stop-motion animation projects that you were making? What were you creating as a kid?
When I was a kid, I did Super 8 stop motion and claymation. And the first one I did was a serial killer potato that murdered a whole family and thought about conquering the world, and then it gets crushed by a car. Horrible, horrible animation. Then I continued doing animation. I taught animation in my high school for kids. I founded an enterprise that did stop motion and makeup effects for 10 years, professionally for commercials and movies.
Del Toro returned to the medium behind the scenes.
Ultimately, I was preparing a stop motion animation feature before Kronos, but that couldn't happen. So all of my life and the last almost 15 years, I decided to come back to animation.
His darker twist on this classic is an example of how animation can be for many ages, not just for kids.
Eventually, one day, we will be able to not only showcase animation as a medium that is mature and beautiful for tackling big questions and big subjects, but we may be able to start making every year the same conversation about how worthy it is as a craft and as an art form. And that is not a genre, it's not a nanny for kids, it's not a babysitter. It is actually cinematic.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Looks intriguing. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of the toys on our set being sent out to our local distributors on their way to 4-state families in need this Christmas. Our thanks to 5 Star Moving for their help today, and to all of you who donated to the KOAM Toy Box campaign. Let's make it a great tomorrow.